Stop. Right there. Give me 15 minutes. Don't skip. This is not just another video you play in the background while scrolling. This is a reset, because if your focus feels broken, if your mind keeps jumping from one thing to another, if you start something and lose interest within seconds, there is a reason for it, and most people never figure it out. They keep blaming themselves. They call it laziness. They say they lack discipline. But the truth is much deeper, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Right now, your attention is being pulled in 100 different directions. You open your phone for one small task, and within seconds you are lost in something completely different. Minutes turn into hours. You feel busy all day, but when the day ends, nothing really moves forward. That quiet frustration builds up. You know you are capable of more, but your focus just doesn't stay. And that is exactly what we are going to fix today. Because here is the part most people don't realize. Your brain was not designed for the world you are living in right now. Every notification, every scroll, every short burst of content is training your mind to avoid depth. It is slowly teaching your brain to chase quick rewards and abandon anything that requires effort. This is not random. This is conditioning. And the scary part is that it happens so gradually that you don't even notice it. Your ability to sit, think, and work deeply gets weaker day by day. Not because you are incapable, but because your environment is designed to keep you distracted. There are studies that show your attention span can shrink just from constant task switching. Your brain starts craving novelty instead of clarity. It becomes restless. It looks for the next hit instead of staying present. That is why even when you try to focus, something feels off. Your mind resists. It feels uncomfortable, so you escape back into distraction, and the cycle repeats. But here is where it changes. In the next 15 minutes, you are going to learn something simple but powerful, a method that does not rely on motivation, does not require extreme discipline, and does not force you into complicated routines. Instead, it works with how your brain actually functions. You will understand why your focus feels broken, what is really happening inside your mind, and how to reverse it step by step. Not in weeks, not in months, but starting today. You will learn how to remove the noise that is constantly draining your attention. You will see how doing less can actually give you more control. You will discover why trying harder is often the wrong approach, and why small shifts can create massive results. This is not about becoming perfect. This is about regaining control. And there is something else most people never talk about. Focus is not just about productivity. It is about your life. When your attention is scattered, your decisions become weaker, your goals start to fade, you begin to drift instead of move with intention. But when your focus returns, everything sharpens, your thoughts become clearer, your actions become stronger. You stop reacting to everything around you and start directing your own path. That is the real difference. That is what we are building here. Not just focus for a task, but control over your time, your energy, and your direction. Stay with this till the end, because the final part of this video will connect everything in a way that most people miss. It will show you why even small distractions matter more than you think, and how a simple shift in your behavior can protect your attention long term. Missing that part means missing the full picture, and without the full picture, most people fall back into the same habits within days. This is why you need to go through the entire process, not just hear it, but understand it. So for the next few minutes, block everything else out. Let this be the one thing you fully focus on. Because if you follow this carefully, you will not just feel different, you will think differently. And once your thinking changes, your actions follow. And when your actions change, your results change. That is how the shift begins. Welcome to the channel, where we break down the real reasons behind your habits, your mindset, and your behavior, and show you how to take control step by step. If you are serious about improving your focus, your discipline, and your life, make sure you subscribe and stay connected, because what you are about to learn is just the beginning. Your brain is not lazy. It is overloaded. That is the truth most people never hear, and because of that, they keep blaming themselves every single day. You wake up with good intentions, you plan to focus, you tell yourself today will be different, but then the same pattern begins. You check your phone for a moment, just a quick look, and suddenly you are pulled into something else. One video becomes 5, one message becomes a long chain of distractions. Time moves, but your progress does not, and deep inside, there is this quiet frustration growing. You know you are capable of more, you know you can do better, but your focus slips away again and again, and it feels like you are losing control over your own mind. The world you are living in is built on distraction. Every app is designed to keep you hooked. Every notification is a small trigger that pulls your attention away. Your brain is constantly switching between tasks. You try to work, but something interrupts you. You try to think, but your mind jumps somewhere else. There is no stillness anymore. There is no space to go deep. And because of that, everything you do feels shallow. You start things, but you don't finish them. You get excited at the beginning, but you lose interest quickly. You move from one idea to another, from one plan to the next, but nothing stays long enough to grow into something meaningful. This is the daily struggle that most people never talk about openly. It looks like you are doing a lot, but in reality nothing important is getting done. You feel busy all the time. Your day is full, but when you stop and think about it, you realize that nothing really changed. You didn't move closer to your goals. You didn't build something real. You just reacted to whatever came in front of you. And that feeling is heavy. It makes you question yourself. It makes you wonder if you are the problem. But this is where everything shifts. This is not your fault. You were trained this way. Slowly, over time, without even realizing it, your brain adapted to an environment full of constant stimulation. Every scroll, every click, every short burst of content shaped the way your mind works. You didn't choose this consciously, it happened in the background. And now, your brain expects quick rewards, it expects constant change, it struggles to stay with anything that requires effort and patience. Your focus is not broken by accident. There is a clear reason behind it. Your brain is overloaded with dopamine. Not in a way that sounds technical or complicated, but in a very simple and real way. Every time you get a quick reward, your brain releases a small amount of pleasure. A new notification, a new video, a new message. It feels good for a moment, and your brain remembers that feeling, so it starts chasing it again and again. It begins to prefer easy rewards over difficult ones. It starts avoiding anything that feels slow or challenging. At the same time, your attention is being conditioned. Every swipe teaches your brain something. It teaches your brain that it is okay to quit quickly. It teaches your brain that if something does not grab your interest instantly, you can move on. This happens so often that it becomes automatic. You no longer decide to switch. Your brain does it for you. You open something and within seconds your attention drifts. Not because you want it to, but because it has been trained that way. And then there is mental fatigue. Too many inputs, too many thoughts, too much noise. Your brain never gets a break. Even when you are not working, you are consuming, watching, scrolling, listening. There is always something filling your mind. And because of that, your brain never has the chance to reset. It stays in a constant state of activity. It becomes tired, but not in a way that makes you stop. Instead, it makes you restless. It makes it harder to focus, harder to think clearly, harder to stay present. Your focus didn't disappear. It was stolen by constant stimulation, stolen by habits that slowly shaped your behavior, stolen by an environment that rewards distraction more than depth. But here is the important part. If it was trained, it can be retrained. If it was shaped, it can be reshaped. And that is exactly what you are about to do. You do not need hours of effort. You do not need extreme discipline. You do not need a perfect system. You need a reset. A simple, clear reset that brings your brain back to a state where it can focus again. And it starts with something very basic, cutting the noise. For the first few minutes, you remove everything that is pulling your attention away. Silence your notifications. Not later, not after this, but now. Because every sound, every vibration, every alert is a small interruption. Even if you don't respond to it, your brain notices it. It breaks your attention, so you remove it. Then you take your phone and place it away from you, not in your hand, not next to you, but out of reach. Because as long as it is there, your mind will keep thinking about it. It will keep pulling you back. Then you look at your space, clear it, remove anything unnecessary, because your environment affects your mind more than you think. A cluttered space creates a cluttered mind. Focus begins when noise ends. That is the rule. And once the noise is gone, something interesting happens. You are left with silence. And that silence feels uncomfortable. For the next few minutes, you do nothing. You sit still. No phone, no music, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. At first it feels strange. Your mind starts jumping around. It looks for something to grab onto. It wants stimulation. It wants something to fill the gap. But you don't give it anything. You let it slow down on its own. This feels uncomfortable. That's the point. Because that discomfort is the sign that your brain is resetting. It is moving away from constant stimulation. It is starting to calm down. Most people never reach this point because they escape the moment they feel uncomfortable. They go back to their phone. They go back to noise. But if you stay, even for a few minutes, your mind begins to settle. The chaos starts to fade. The urge to check something weakens. And in that space, your focus begins to return. Then you move to the next step. You choose one task. Only one. Not two, not three. Just one clear thing that you want to work on. This is important because your brain needs clarity. When you try to do too many things, your attention gets divided. You lose depth. You lose momentum. But when you focus on one thing, your brain knows exactly where to go. No switching, no multitasking. You stay with that one task, even if it feels slow, even if it feels boring at first. You stay, because your brain is relearning how to focus. It is rebuilding a skill that was weakened over time. Your brain loves clarity. It works best when it knows what to do. And when you give it a single direction, it becomes easier to stay on track. Then comes the final part, the part that removes resistance. You make a small commitment. You tell yourself you will do this for just 3 minutes, not 30, not an hour, just 3 minutes. This removes pressure. It makes the task feel easy to start. And starting is the hardest part. Focus doesn't need motivation. It needs a start. Once you begin, something shifts. The resistance that felt strong before starts to fade. Your mind gets into the task. You move forward without forcing yourself. And before you realize it, those 3 minutes turn into more. After 15 minutes, something changes. It is not dramatic on the outside, but inside it is clear. Your mind feels quieter. The noise is gone. The constant urge to check something is weaker. You feel more present, more in control. The task in front of you feels easier to handle, not because it changed, but because your state changed. You didn't need more time. You needed less distraction. That is the difference. Most people think they need long hours to be productive, but without focus, more time does not help. It only stretches the problem. When your focus returns, even a short amount of time becomes powerful. But there is a mistake that pulls people back into the same cycle. They try to force focus. They push themselves too hard. They expect instant results, and when it doesn't happen, they get frustrated. They think it is not working, so they stop. Or they wait for motivation. They think they need to feel ready before they start, but that feeling rarely comes, so they keep waiting and nothing changes. Or they overload themselves. They try to fix everything at once. They set too many goals. They create complex plans, and then they feel overwhelmed, so they quit. Focus is built, not forced. It grows step by step. It becomes stronger with practice. And it starts with small actions like the ones you just learned. You are not distracted. That is the first and most important truth you need to understand. For years, you may have believed that your inability to focus is a personal flaw, a sign of weakness or laziness. You may have thought that there is something wrong with your willpower, that you just cannot control yourself, that you will never be able to sit and think deeply. That is not true. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not weak. What has been happening to you is not about your character, your determination, or your intelligence. It is about the world you are living in. The environment around you has been shaping your attention without your permission. It has been training your brain to seek constant stimulation, to crave novelty, to switch rapidly between tasks. Every app, every notification, every short video has been subtly conditioning your mind to respond to instant rewards rather than sustained effort. The truth is that your brain has adapted exactly as it was meant to in that environment. It is not failing you, it is doing exactly what it was trained to do. And once you understand this, everything changes. You are not distracted. You are overstimulated. That is the key difference, and that single shift in perspective is enough to transform your experience entirely. When you see that the problem is not with you but with what you have been exposed to, a weight lifts. You begin to feel clarity. You begin to feel that control is possible. You stop blaming yourself. You stop fighting your own mind. You start working with it. And that is the beginning of real focus. Overstimulation is everywhere. You live in a world that never stops demanding your attention. From the moment you wake up, your senses are bombarded. The phone lights up with notifications. Your email dings. The news flashes headlines. Social media scrolls endlessly. Ads pop up on every page. Messages come in constantly. Even your environment at home or work is filled with subtle interruptions. Sounds, visuals, conversations, devices, objects in your space. All of them compete for your attention. Your mind does not have a chance to settle. Every single input requires energy. Every new stimulus triggers a reaction in your brain. It takes mental effort to even ignore distractions. Your mental energy is slowly consumed without you realizing it. And because of this, when you try to focus, it feels impossible. Not because you are weak, not because you are lazy, not because you are incapable, but because your brain is overloaded. It is constantly processing, constantly reacting, constantly chasing novelty. The overstimulation does not just distract you, it exhausts you. It makes focus feel like an uphill battle. It makes calmness feel unnatural. It makes stillness feel uncomfortable. But once you recognize that overstimulation is the cause, everything changes. The solution is not to try harder. The solution is to remove the source of stimulation. Removing stimulation is simple in theory, but powerful in practice. When you step away from distractions, even for a short period, your mind begins to recover. Silence allows your attention to rebuild. Stillness allows your thoughts to align. One step at a time, you regain the ability to focus deeply. Your brain does not need motivation, force, or willpower to return to focus. It simply needs the space to do so. When stimulation is removed, focus returns naturally. This is not a theory. It is how the brain works. The neurons in your brain are constantly firing in response to inputs. When the inputs are constant, the firing patterns become erratic, scattered, uncoordinated. The brain cannot build the pathways for deep attention. It cannot sustain effort. But when you reduce inputs, silence the notifications, put your devices away, and remove unnecessary noise, the neurons begin to synchronize again. The firing becomes coordinated, attention consolidates, clarity emerges, and focus comes back. You begin to see that your mind was never truly broken. It was simply overworked, overwhelmed, and overexposed to stimulation. This reframe is profound because it changes everything about how you experience your mind. When you stop thinking of yourself as distracted, you stop fighting yourself. You stop the internal battle where part of you scolds the other part for being unfocused. That internal struggle consumes energy, which makes focus even harder. Once you understand that your difficulty concentrating is not a flaw, but a result of overstimulation, the tension dissipates. You stop reacting with frustration, guilt, and shame, and start responding with clarity, intention, and strategy. This alone has the power to double or triple your effectiveness, because energy that was spent on self-blame is now available for actual work. You start to approach tasks with patience, with presence, and with awareness. You stop jumping from one thing to another. You stop seeking constant novelty. You begin to engage with the task at hand in a deliberate way. Overstimulation is subtle. Most people do not even notice it. It does not scream at you. It sneaks in through your environment, through habits, through devices, through expectations, through culture. It is everywhere, and that is why most people blame themselves instead of the system that is shaping them. But once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You begin to notice the small triggers, the moments where your mind is hijacked without permission. You begin to notice how your attention is divided not because you are weak, but because the environment is constantly competing for it. You notice that when you step away from the noise, when you remove stimulation even briefly, a deep calm spreads through your mind. Ideas become sharper, tasks become easier, decisions become clearer. Motivation returns not because you force it, but because the mental space has been created for it to exist. You begin to understand that focus is not about strength. It is about environment, about input, about removing barriers, about allowing your brain to function as it is naturally designed. The most powerful part of this reframe is how it changes the way you act every day. Once you start seeing overstimulation as the root problem, you begin to make simple changes that have profound effects. You put your phone in another room while working. You silence notifications. You schedule moments of quiet. You create environments that do not fight for your attention. You give your brain the space it needs to think, to process, to concentrate. And you notice a ripple effect. 1 hour of undistracted work becomes more productive than an entire day of scattered effort. One focused session clears mental clutter that took weeks to accumulate. Your energy feels different. Your mood improves. Your mind feels lighter. Your tasks feel achievable. And the more you practice removing stimulation, the more natural focus becomes. It is no longer a struggle. It is the default state. Understanding this reframe also reshapes the way you view challenges. When distractions appear, you no longer see them as a failure. You no longer beat yourself up for losing focus. Instead, you see the pattern, you see the overstimulation, you see the source of the disruption, and you act accordingly. You step back, you remove the unnecessary inputs, and you restore your attention. This simple awareness transforms how your brain responds over time. It trains your attention, strengthens your control, and builds a resilience that is impossible to achieve through sheer willpower alone. Focus becomes sustainable, it becomes reliable, it becomes effortless, not because you push harder, but because you allow the conditions for focus to exist. When you consistently apply this perspective, your experience of daily life transforms. Tasks that once felt impossible now feel manageable. Decisions that once felt overwhelming now feel simple. You start to notice how much of your day was previously lost to unnecessary inputs. You notice that most distractions were trivial, but they consumed massive amounts of energy. You notice that by simply removing them, you reclaim hours of attention without extra effort. Your brain becomes an ally instead of a battlefield. Your mind is no longer pulled in 100 directions at once. It is concentrated, deliberate, and powerful. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are choosing where to place your attention. You are in control, and with control comes clarity, and with clarity comes action, and with action comes results. Removing stimulation is not just a temporary fix. It is a lifelong strategy. Every day, small choices shape your brain. Every day, exposure to noise or quiet reinforces habits. If you understand the root cause of overstimulation, you can consciously design your environment to favor focus. You can train yourself to avoid unnecessary inputs. You can build rituals and routines that prioritize undistracted attention. You can protect your mind from the constant barrage of digital noise that steals your energy and scatters your thoughts. Over time, the habit of reducing stimulation becomes automatic. It becomes second nature. It becomes the foundation for everything you do. Your focus was never gone. It was simply buried under layers of input, distraction, and constant activity. When you remove those layers, your attention emerges naturally. Your clarity returns, your ability to think deeply returns, your capacity to engage fully with work, ideas, and life returns. And it happens faster than you think. The mind is incredibly adaptive. Once it is given the right conditions, it rebuilds its power quickly, and the more consistently you practice removing stimulation, the more effortless focus becomes. You begin to understand that this is not a struggle. It is a natural state that was always within you. It is simply a matter of creating the right environment and giving your mind the space to operate at its best. You are not distracted. You are overstimulated. Remove the stimulation. Give your brain the quiet it needs. Let your mind settle. Let it process. Let it organize. Let it build the pathways for deep attention. Focus will return naturally. It does not need force. It does not need willpower. It does not need long hours or extreme effort. It only needs the conditions to function. And once those conditions exist, your mind will flourish. You will feel calm. You will feel present. You will feel powerful. You will notice that your thinking is sharper. Your actions are more deliberate. Your decisions are more precise. Your work becomes more effective. Your energy feels restored. Your mental clarity improves. Your life feels more manageable. And as you continue practicing this, your attention will no longer be hijacked by trivial inputs. You will no longer react constantly to the noise around you. You will engage intentionally with what matters. Your mind will operate like it was always meant to. Your focus will become effortless, automatic, and reliable. You will understand the real power of quiet, of stillness, of reduced stimulation. You will realize that the world does not need to control your attention. Your mind can do it on its own. Your focus can be restored. Your clarity can be regained. Your life can be directed with intention, all by simply understanding that you are not distracted, you are overstimulated, and by removing the stimulation, focus returns naturally, deeply, and permanently. I asked for 15 minutes. Now it's your turn to use them. Right after this video, take a moment to apply what you just learned. Step away from distractions, silence the noise, focus on one thing, even if it's just for 3 minutes. Feel the shift. Feel your mind settle. Your focus has not disappeared. It is still there, waiting for you to take it back. This is your moment to reclaim control over your attention, your energy, and your day. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button, share it with someone who needs this reset, and subscribe to the channel for more strategies that actually change how you think and work. Every step you take toward mastering your focus starts here, and every share you make helps someone else take back their attention too. Your focus is waiting. Take it.